that, then this guy's gonna know. His camp's gonna know. Like, I want to know about the diet more. I want to know about the things like the music you listen to in the gym, or when I first met you at the Prudential Center with Danny from Biohazard, I think your brother was like, "Oh yeah, Biohazard, Hatebreed." Like, it rang a bell to him.
Yeah.
And like, were you ever into rock or punk or metal growing up, or?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, my brother was always really into a lot of rap music. He hung around like, so I was in Stockton, California. I went to school in Lodi, and we both went to Tokyo High School. So he was kind of hanging out with a more of like, we were both hanging out with like a Mexican crowd, a lot. He was just more like a year or two younger. Like, the rap music at the time was more of a, I'm more of an old school 80s rocker type of guy at the time. I listened to rock music. My friend didn't like rap music. His dad was locked up, and he just had it. He didn't like rap, and he didn't like the urban sort of thing. And he was kind of like my older brother type of guy, And it was a trip. I looked up to this guy a lot. I was trying to date his sister. He was never too fond of that until we got into high school a little bit, and then he kind of let me start dating his sister. But so I listened to rock music with him all the time, and then he was hanging out. We were listening to rock and getting stoned, and I learned a lot. And my brother was hanging out with Mexican kids, and he had like these 3 Mexican best friends. And he was walking around wearing little gangster clothes, little Mexican cholo outfits. And, I never really got into I dressed too overly gangster. I looked kind of hood,
Yeah.
but I was more of a kind of a skater. I wanted to skate. My brother never skateboarded. I can skateboard. I can actually skateboard. I'm not great.
Who was your dude?
Cron Gracie can skateboard way better than me. And
who was your skater dude?
I started. No, I never
I was
really
always a
had.
Mike V guy.
That's the thing. I was so late in the game when it not late, but early in the whole skateboard game that there was nothing for me. I wanted to skateboard so bad. Like, when I was in 6th grade, I got a skateboard for Christmas. This is right when they started making boards with like the both sides. So
Yeah.
I came in. I was already trying to skateboard when it was like the old school boards, and so I was really into it. And I just liked the whole, being like, kind of just being a skater. I wanted to be a skater. I loved the way I see, like, these couple of guys are out skateboarding. I'm like, what the fuck? Why don't I have friends like that? Like, I don't have any skateboard buddies. I have no skateboard. I lived in Stockton. There was nobody. You're not going to find anybody to hang out and go skate. They didn't have skate parks. I would go and try to, like, rent a video on, like, maybe how to skateboard or how to do tricks or something. There was nothing. There was no instruction on how to skateboard. There was no older brothers to learn from. I knew one guy in my neighborhood. His name was David Humphreys. He actually still lives with my brother. He's a great guy. He was, one of my best friends, about 4 years older than me, and he was a really good skateboarder. When I met him, we were in the back of David's school, and he was just hauling ass on his skateboard, jumping these huge gaps, and I was just like, "You're nuts!" And he was, I was like, I love this guy. I want to hang out with him. I want to skateboard with him, and I was all about that life until I realized that there's nobody skateboards except for me. So I, started training jiu-jitsu at some point in time. Like, when I got into high school, I was just kind of done with the whole skating thing. Nobody was skating.
Yeah.
Then, like, once I was done skateboarding, all of a sudden, all these skateboarder kids came in. There's, TV shows and all the good stuff came in.
Tony Hawk video games.
All of a sudden, there was a skate park. By the time they built a skate park in Stockton, I was totally done skating. But it's good, though. I probably got hurt. I mean, I bought a motorcycle, too. I always wanted to ride a motorcycle. Nobody would ever trust me or let me ride a motorcycle, drive a car. Nobody teach me how to drive. They're like, no. They didn't think I was very responsible, which is fair enough. I mean, like, yeah, I was a little bit different. But they, nobody wanted to help. I had no guidance. Nobody wanted to let me ride a fucking my cousin got to ride the motorcycles. My grandfather had these motorcycles. And my cousin's hopping on these things, jamming out down the road. But by the time I'm the age where he got to do that, like, I'm totally out of the picture. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm half Mexican. He's white on my mom's side. I don't know. Like, they're like, we're not trusting you with a car, motorcycle. We might not even let you drive the lawnmower.
What about now? When was the last time you rode the motorcycle?
I was like getting a kick out of driving the lawnmower back then. I was like, man. So I bought this. So I win my first fight. For $400, I bought a Honda 250R 3-wheeler. Nice. So this fucking thing, it was a sand dune machine, and I learned how to ride on this thing. It had 6 gears, and water cooled. And this thing was a beast, man. I almost ate shit one time. I was flying down the side of these railroad tracks, and there's this telephone pole laying across the thing, and I'm like, oh shit! I'm going like 40 miles an hour. I think I'm gonna hit this thing and do like 3 flips. Went right over it. I was like, oh my god, I gotta get rid of this bike. So after I learned how to ride a little bit, and then
Still have that bike?
No, I learned how to work the clutch, and I sold it back to the guy I bought it from. I was like, I better, I got fights coming up. I'm like, I'm gonna get hurt. So
This dude that was listening to rock, was he like an AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, or was he like more like the hair metal?
Metallica, and just a lot of hard rock that we used to listen to. And then from there, I moved out of my grandparents' house, which is like right on the border of Lodi and Stockton, 8 Mile Road, and I moved back over on into Murata, into this place I bought a house. I still live there now. But what the hell was I saying? I'm over here glitching out.
All about the music, because
because
the Bay Area. Music, think about it. You got so
motorcycles.
much.
I'm like, what? So, anyways,
also the skate rock scene was big in Northern California too.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing, and then from there though, I was a stoner. Like I was hanging out with a skateboard. I smoked some weed. It wasn't gonna, it had nothing to do with me being good at going to school or having good attendance. I got moved around too many schools to ever, catch up or keep up, and I wasn't very good at copying off the board from day one. I was like, I don't have the attention span for any of this, so I never did good in school. But when I was hanging out, and I was the guy that knew how to get some weed though after a while, and I had this foster kid that went to my school in 7th grade. I made friends with, and we went and scored some weed. And he was a fucking badass dude. I would box with this guy, and I was fanatical about fighting or boxing or being able to whoop whose ass or what. And so I'd always get this dude to box, and he's a black kid, and he was strong. He had matured a little faster. He used to be bigger than me. I ended up being taller than him when we got older. But I put on the gloves, and he'd knock me down. We got in fights together. He got in a fight with this one dude who was this little white boy type, sort of Okie Peckerwood style type of dude.
NorCal, generic NorCal dude.
Just way back in the day, times have changed. But like, so he's fighting this dude, and they tried to put us both on Ritalin because, just basically if you didn't have good attendance, you got moved around to school and your parents didn't give a shit. They're like, here, put this kid on drugs. So, and that's another thing too, is like, people don't realize it. Like I was talking to these foreigners the other day, and I was like, yeah, I don't remember how we got into the conversation, but like, half the kids in school are on drugs. Half the kids on school are on methamphetamines, and nobody knows about it. It's not a big deal. It's like, oh, it's pharmaceutical.
Right, Adderall and all that shit.
That shit's not funny, man. It's like, are you
Vans.
kidding me? So that's why I never like got into. Who knows? I might be a dope head, right? Like, but by the time, they shoved so much meth down my throat in 2nd grade that by the time I got older and people were starting to smoke crank and do all that, I'm like, this is basically some strong ass Ritalin. I don't want none of that.
Right.
And
so you must have seen a lot of that there.
So I never got into it, and then I watched people just slowly fade away from pharmaceutical drugs and stuff.